Well, hello and welcome to this video. My name is Clara. I am a tropical and rare houseplant enthusiast. I'm also a mom of two, soon to be three, and I just love to talk about my plant collection. Sometimes I do informational videos or tutorials, and sometimes, like today, I'm just gonna sit down and talk to you about Clarinervium. Anthurium clarinervium is one of the most common anthurium, and it's definitely a beginner-friendly anthurium. Doubtless, if you are even new to plants, you've seen Anthurium clarinervium before, and I absolutely love Anthurium clarinervium, so much so that I actually have an entire collection of different kinds of Anthurium clarinervium. And so today I just wanted to show you all the clarinervium that I have, and then later on at the end of this video I'm going to show you some beautiful specimens that I found online. Recently I did a video similar to this about Anthurium Bessiae AFF, and a lot of people really loved that video, so I'm going to go ahead and put it right up here so that if you haven't seen it yet, you can go ahead and click on it, maybe watch that one next. That's a great video as well, although I don't have any Bessiae to show you in the video from my own collection because I don't own any. But in this case, I've got plenty of Clarinervium to talk about. So let me first just pull out and kind of get everything else out of the way so that we can talk about your standard basic Anthurium clarinervium. I have her right here. And so this is what your run-of-the-mill species Anthurium clarinervium will look like. Now, there are a lot of hybrids made by Anthurium clarinervium, and so there's a lot of plants that will look very similar to this but slightly different, and that's totally okay. I think they're all amazing. I have seen, however, a lot of people unknowingly, they'll post a picture of a plant and say, here's my Anthurium clarinervium, and it's clearly a hybrid. It is not a species. And so Clarinervium is the Anthurium species that I'm holding up here. I think that this one is very characteristic of what your typical Anthurium clarinervium will look like. These plants are very hardy. They're very tough and vigorous. You can see that I have this entire plant potted in such a small little deli container, and she's already been flowering for me. I've got a new flower on the way right here, and you can see where she's flowered previously. Even though I wouldn't say this is a very large or mature Clarinervium, so that just tells you that even at a small size and a young age, they're just very robust and vigorous and all around great plants to have. This is definitely a heart-shaped leaf Anthurium, and it's got all of the traits that you would want, I think, if you're just starting out in the Anthurium world. I mean, it's beautiful and dark. It's not the darkest Anthurium in the world, but still a very dark species, and the beautiful veins. I really love Clarinervium. And funny enough, I actually almost sold this one time. I was just trying to kind of clear out my collection. This was not a happy plant, and this was about a year and a half ago, perhaps. I wasn't really loving the plant, and I posted it for sale. And as soon as I posted it for sale, I had instant regret. I wanted to keep it. Somebody even tried to buy the plant from my sales post, and I had to tell them, I'm sorry, it's no longer available because I had a change of heart and I wanted to keep it. And I'm really glad that I did, because in my collection, I actually tend to gravitate towards more unique plants, things that are not pure species. I don't have any pure Anthurium crystallinum or magnificum or regale. I don't know, those don't appeal to me, being pure and kind of basic. But something about the Clarinervium, it's perfect just the way it is, and I'm really happy to have it. Now I want to show you my variegated Anthurium clarinervium, just so that we can compare, talk about these two side by side. So circling back to something I said at the beginning, there are so many Clarinervium hybrids out there, and that's very true as well for variegated Clarinervium. I've seen a lot of variegated Clarinervium on Instagram or Facebook, whether it's for sale or just a picture of somebody's collection, and you can tell that that version is not pure. You can tell that it's been hybridized with something, and that's why I feel especially grateful to have my variegated Clarinervium, because by all appearances it does look like a pure Clarinervium. And you know, I haven't gone and verified that. I mean, there are ways, if you're ever curious, if your plant is a pure, or if it's not, you can have it genetically tested, which I'm not going to do because I don't care. What I'm happy about is that the appearance looks exactly like the pure anthurium Clarinervium, except this one is variegated. And so I really love that I have this variegated plant specifically for that trait. Looks just like Clarinervium, doesn't look like it's a hybrid. It looks like pure variegated Clarinervium. And I think that that's really cool. So I'll move big guy out of the way here so we can showcase this a little bit. Now you'll have to use your imagination, because I definitely have had my fair share of leaf crisping on this variegated version. My sections of higher variegation definitely don't last long. Feel free to share in the comments what you think might help with that. I think the most common suggestion I've heard is to add silica to your feed. I don't really know if I'm going to try that, if it's bothering me enough to introduce something else. So I definitely do have some leaf withering and wilting, but what I wanted to show you is that the variegation on this specific plant is actually an elbow variegation. And I love that so much because I'm not a yellow variegation kind of girl. I'm not. And I know it might look like I am when you see this. This is a brand new leaf. And on my variegated Clarinervium, the leaves that emerge, they start with a neon green or yellow variegation, and then they do fade down to like a pure white, like Monstera albo white. And that was also kind of hard to find. A lot of variegated anthurium are yellow variegated. And so I love this plant, and it's so special to me for those reasons. Maybe I do need to try a little harder to mitigate this crisping problem. I mean, granted, you can tell I'm in an indoor setting right now. And for any of you who are new to the channel, I'm actually in the process of building a greenhouse, and I would actually prefer to have my collection outside right now, but the weather has just been too hot where I am, so I've moved everything in. So possibly some of this crisping or, you know, wilting, it could be due to just having everything in ambient humidity lately. Here in the house, it's like 60%. So who knows? Who knows what the solution is here? But I gotta say, this variegation pattern on the newest leaf is exceptional. And I would love for this to not melt away like previous leaves have. So I don't know, maybe tonight I will get on Amazon and look for some sort of silica additive to put into my water, because I just love this. So it is an albo variegated Clarinervium, and the leaves start out yellow, fade down to white. And again, I love it because it looks pure. It doesn't look like a variegated anthurium hybrid, which I'll show you next. It looks like a variegated Clarinervium, just period. So as promised, here is a Clarinervium hybrid that's variegated. And let me hold these two newer leaves up so that you can see them side by side and see what I'm talking about. The plant here, it's gonna be on your left. This is Clarinervium by Pedata radiatum variegated. Anthurium buffs out there will know that those are the same two parents of Anthurium Delta Force, and we'll talk about Delta Force in a little bit. But this is a Clarinervium hybrid, and you can tell it's got some Clarinervium traits. It's got the heart-shaped leaf. It might have similar vein structure, but right away you can tell the differences. Even though these are distinct plants, and the variegation could be throwing you off a little bit, you can tell that this one, the hybrid, isn't pure Clarinervium. You can just tell, and that's because it's been crossed with a completely different anthurium species. So this is one of my favorites in the collection. This was actually one of the first variegated anthurium I ever got. And again, it looks like it's aria or yellow variegation, but I will prove to you that the leaves do harden off to have pure white variegation, which I love. I love albo variegation. I don't know why. I just personally, like, I don't wear bright colors. I don't gravitate towards bright colors. I'm a neutral kind of person. I am beige mom, you know, and so the yellow leaf color isn't my favorite, but the fact that it's actually fades to albo is really nice for me. That's way more my style and way more my taste. Again, you can see that I have problems with highly variegated sections just becoming tissue paper. But this is the next one in the collection that I wanted to show you today. So what's interesting about this, and I suppose we'll talk about Delta Force now. Anthurium Delta Force, I hope this video isn't confusing. I am literally jumping from one plant to another. Anthurium Delta Force, let me just put a picture on the screen. Just for like, we're just gonna blab for a second, okay? Rabbit trail, here we go. Some time ago, a couple decades ago, somebody made a hybrid. They used Anthurium Clarinervium as the mother plant, and they used the pollen from Anthurium pedata radiatum. All of the seedlings turned out fine, but one of the seedlings stood out. It had completely different traits. The leaf shape was almost like a triangle, and that's where we get the name Delta Force, because of the Greek letter delta, which is a triangle. Delta Force is an extremely cool anthurium. It used to be so highly rare and sought after until recently, and I mean like past 2 or 3 years, it's been introduced to tissue culture and become more widely available. That's where my Delta Force actually comes from. Ignore the ugly leaves. You've either just seen them last week or you're going to see them next week. But here is my Anthurium Delta Force. What is so interesting and why I want to talk about these two together is, aside from the fact that this one is tissue culture, these two plants have the same two parents, Clarinervium and pedata radiatum. And there are so many differences between the two, even though they are siblings. Like genetically, these two are siblings, and I find that so cool to talk about. This is totally like a plant nerd moment. So that's something that makes Delta Force really cool to me, is that it doesn't look anything like it's supposed to. And it was the only one of that batch that stood out with this kind of leaf trait. But at the same time, that's also what makes this one so interesting, because Delta Force now has kind of earned a lot of fame, and a lot of people know about Delta Force. A lot of people want a Delta Force or have a Delta Force. It's definitely the favorite child of the cross between Clarinervium and pedata radiatum. But here's another one of those children, and I just think that that's so cool that, you know, it's like a, how do I say this? It's genetically the same parentage as Delta Force, and yet it looks so different. And of course, the fact that it is albo variegated takes its coolness to the top of the charts for me, because I don't know, because I think it's just really cool. Like, same parents as Delta Force, looks nothing like Delta Force, it's variegated. And I recently just, you know, posted a picture of this particular new leaf to socials, and somebody pointed out that the variegation almost looks like a checkerboard, and I totally see that now. I think that's really cool. So I love this plant. I have actually had her since she was a very, very tiny seedling, and if I'm able to find the photo I took at import, I'll put it up on the screen now. She's never been cut. I've never offered or sold any pieces of her, which is unheard of in my collection. I'm a chop and prop insane person. And so I just really like this one. I'm definitely gonna keep holding on to her. Even though, like, you know, there's a lot of similarities between these two, and I probably don't need both. They are different enough, you know what I'm saying? And if you're a collector of anything, you know exactly what I mean. They're not the same, they're different enough. I'm keeping them both. That's all I have for variegated. Let's get back to talking about different types of Clarinervium now. So far we've talked about the pure Clarinervium. I showed you a variegated pure Clarinervium, and then I've shown you two hybrids, the Clarinervium bipedata radiatum, the two that I have. Now let's talk about just full-on Clarinervium hybrids. We don't even know the parentage. We just know that it's a hybrid of Clarinervium. And the first one I will talk to you about today is King of Clarinervium. How do I introduce this plant for anybody who's new? This is like one of the nicest plants I've ever seen. Not my particular specimen, not like there's anything wrong with her. She's just not mature yet. A mature King of Clarinervium is breathtaking. You can tell that it is a hybrid of Clarinervium. It's got enough Clarinervium in it that is apparent. But it's kind of like Clarinervium was put on steroids, especially the veins. Oh my goodness, the veins on King of Clarinervium are what got me hooked. It's a beautiful, beautiful plant, but nobody knows what the parentage really is. Was it a pure Clarinervium crossed with something else entirely? Was it a pure Clary crossed with a Clary hybrid? Was it two Clarinervium hybrids? We don't know. We just know that there's, you know, heavy Clarinervium traits in here, but something else. And I just think that that's really cool. I don't mind the mystery at all. What matters to me is just how beautiful this plant is. Now, I did make an entire video about King of Clarinervium, and you can watch that if you want. I will put it right up here for you, where I really go into the differences between obtaining a clone of an anthurium versus obtaining a self-seedling of anthurium. I'm gonna breeze over that right now in this video because there's no need for me to repeat what I already said in that one. But this is a clone of the original King of Clarinervium. It was hard to find, it was expensive, but I'm definitely glad I have it. It has been a fun plant to grow. I don't think she's completely happy with me right now. You can see I've got a couple issues here. And then this other leaf, I don't quite know why she's facing backwards. She's a beautiful leaf nonetheless. But I recently took some cuttings of this to try to make a little bit of my money back since it was such an expensive plant. The cuttings took off really well, but the mother plant just kind of, I wouldn't say she threw a fit. I would say she was a little down after that. So she's coming back after those cuttings were taken, and I just really love this plant. And if you want to know more about King of Clarinervium or anything regarding self versus clone anthurium, I highly recommend you check out that video, because in that video I'm also going to show you my next and final plant, which is somebody took their King of Clarinervium clone and they self-pollinated it. They had a whole batch of plants that looked kind of like this, and then they had a weirdo. And I'm obsessed with my weirdo, and it's gotten weirder, you guys. Since the last time you've seen this plant, it has gotten weirder. And we just call this one King of Clarinervium Mutated. Like I said, King of Clarinervium was self-pollinated, and this one stood out as totally weird. When I bought it, let me get rid of the two newest leaves, because that's a recent development. When I bought this plant, it looked like this. Very interesting, very unique. I've described it before as like a Variegated version of Clarinervium. It's long, it is very straight, the veins are simple and unique. And I'll put up a video, or maybe I'll put up pictures of what this plant used to look like when I first acquired it, first couple leaves in my care. But here is the cool / weird and unexpected thing, is that as the plant has reached maturity, it has given me completely different traits now. These two leaves in the forefront are the two newest leaves. This one, larger, being the newest, and then this one coming out right before that. You can tell that we've got like a little butterfly shape here. I don't know what's happening. Somebody commented that this could be caused by the leaf getting caught or damaged as it was emerging from the caterpillar, but I cannot agree with that because it happened twice in a row in the exact same way. So to me, it's almost like the mutation mutated again. Or in other words, you know, now that this plant is reaching maturity, it's now showing us the traits that were always there in the genetics, but just plant wasn't mature enough. And I think I love it. I think I love it. I wasn't sure at first. When this leaf came out, I was bummed. I was disappointed because I thought something happened to this on its way out and it didn't look like this, which is what I bought the plant for. And I was bummed. And then it did it again in a more dramatic shape and a longer leaf. And so now that I'm kind of feeling like this is what the plant is gonna look like from now on, and it wasn't just a screwed up one-off leaf, I think I love this. I think I do. I'd love to hear what you guys think. It's absolutely beautiful. I really love the little, I don't know, what should we call these? Like dimples? I can't think of the right word. It's almost like the plant has little dimples up here, or it's almost like it's got butterfly wings. I don't know. It's so cool. It is still such a unique plant in my collection and I really love it. Now here is another beautiful Clarinervium hybrid, very similar to the King of Clarinervium in that we know it's a Clarinervium hybrid, but we don't know what it was crossed with. This is my Clarinervium Luna. She's a recent acquisition. You may have already seen her in my plant haul video, and she doesn't look any differently than she did then. She is working on her first leaf in my care, but I don't have anything that's new. But I wanted to add her to the video because she is just an exquisite Clarinervium hybrid. I will put up on the screen and then I'll leave you guys alone about it because, like I said, if you watch my birthday haul video, if you've seen my wish list video, you've heard my feelings about this plant. Absolutely love it. Here's a photo of the mother plant that this is a clone of. I think it's a really cool looking Clarinervium hybrid. Super unique length and shape. I like that the edges kind of have a little bit of a ruffle. And I think the veins are really pretty. Something I haven't mentioned before, I actually didn't really think about it directly until kind of later as an afterthought. But like the term Luna, I think is just really pretty. It makes me think of the classical Claude Debussy song Clair de Lune, which is actually the song where my name was picked from when my parents were naming me. So kind of cool, Clarinervium Luna. And I like it. It's just so much like Clair de Lune, which is, so I think it's cool that there's a plant called Clarinervium Luna, and I think it's really cool that I have one. Kind of like I had to have it, you know what I mean? Like that's my excuse. I just had to have it, right? Clarinervium is so beautiful, so variable, and I certainly don't have them all. Here are a few anthurium Clarinervium I found online that I think are absolutely stunning and I would love to talk about next. So let's start with the Queen of Clarinervium. This is a photo from Instagram from the account at DKey Plant Shop. And I think this is a great example of Queen of Clarinervium. Just like with King of Clarinervium, it is an unknown hybrid of Clarinervium. And I haven't done exceptional digging on this plant, but if you were to search out Queen of Clarinervium, you'd kind of see a lot that look similar to this, but they don't all look exactly like it. So I can only assume that just as with the King of Clarinervium, there was an original. It was self-pollinated probably plenty of times. The babies are kind of floating around there under the same name. And I don't even know with certainty if the photo I'm showing you is like the original Queen of Clarinervium or if it's one of those selfed seedlings, but I think it's generally a good representation of Queen of Clarinervium. I like this one. I don't think I need to have it. I don't like it enough,
but it's got some really great traits. Again, the veins are on steroids, but in a different way than King of Clarinervium. King kind of has like almost a grid. When I look at it, that's what I see. This one is a little bit messier, almost like lightning bolts are kind of happening in between the spaces. And then with the King of Clarinervium, you have a pretty wide and high sinus, but the Queen of Clarinervium kind of more or less keeps the traditional Clarinervium shape. Now the next one is something that is on my wish list. I mean, it's not like I'm actively seeking one out, but if the opportunity presented itself and I were able to afford it, I'd definitely snag some anthurium Clarinervium lithium. This is essentially like the dark form of Clarinervium. And what I love about that is that's really the only difference. It's not so wild of a Clarinervium hybrid that you're losing these Clarinervium traits. They're all there. Leaf shape, vein structure, it's just darker, significantly more muted. And although the basic structure of the veins is the same, there's less veins visible. Some of those like secondary or tertiary veins are almost non-existent. I just think that this one, lithium, is really cool to have. And I haven't mentioned yet, but this photo is from Cartel Dawn. Okay, you guys, researching for this video, when I scrolled past this is from the Instagram account at ArrowID, and this is their Albo Clarinervium. And I'm not going to say I would trade my Albo Clarinervium for this one, but I feel like I would want this one too. This is so pretty. The thing that grabs me is the pink emergent on the variegation. And now this is totally a personal taste, but I am all over when an emergent variegated leaf starts out pink. Oh, I so prefer that over like the neon green or the neon yellow. I think that that is gorgeous. And then the way the variegation presents in this, you've definitely got like 3 or 4 shades in between the pure green and the pure white. I think it's really exceptional. Now, if you look at the bottom leaf, the one that is fully hardened, you can see some differences between my variegated Clarinervium and this variegated Clarinervium. And, you know, that's to be expected within a species. Even if it's still pure, you can have some variation between each plant characteristic-wise. This one does look a little bit different than mine. I think the sinuses look like they've got more of an overlap. The veins are a little bit more slender and less frosted looking. I can't think of a bad thing to say about this plant. And wow. Wow, I don't think I would ever obtain it because, you know, this seems like a one-off kind of specimen, but I kind of want to add pink emergent Albo Clarinervium to my wish list because this is exceptional. Next, this one comes from Andre Plant Shop, and the caption here just said that this is a Clarinervium mutation. And we don't really know much more about it, but I think it is really cool. We've got a wide sinus, ruffly edges, great shape. And while we're on this note, something that you might want to look up for fun is look up Delta Faux. So not Delta Force, but Faux as in F-A-U-X. Because a lot of the time when people have tried to recreate Delta Force, they've gotten similar results. And so there's so many different Delta Faux out there. Some of them are really cool. This one kind of gives me that vibe. There's some out there that do have almost a triangular shape, kind of the same like ruffly edges, and this one kind of looks like that as well, and that's why I like it. I also like that this one has a reddish or pink petiole insertion that makes this one really unique. So again, just showing you how variable Clarinervium can be, especially once they start being hybridized and you start getting these Clarinervium no ID, or just, you know, really who knows what to call it properly. But this Clarinervium mutation, to say the least, is really beautiful. And now this one is interesting. It almost doesn't look like an anthurium. It almost looks like, and I have no knowledge of this, but there's something out there called a piper. This almost looks like that, but caption by Paradise Yash on Instagram says that this is Clarinervium chocolate vein, and very well named, because if you have seen crystallinum chocolate or chocolate crystallinum, this has very similar veins to that plant. And so I think that they did a great job naming it. Just a really cool, different Clarinervium. Clearly not pure, but that's fine. That's not what we're here to discuss. I love the sinus. It's almost like a swing. I could sit right there, you know. Do you see what I'm saying? Like in between the lobes. It's like the shape of a swing on a swing set. I think it's really cool. And it almost looks, now I don't know, maybe the leaf was just wiped down with a pest control or something before this photo. But if not, it kind of looks like the leaf is shiny and like a dull matte. Like a shiny, dull matte. Does that make any sense? Just a different kind of texture. And then, of course, the veins, as already described, kind of liken themselves to the veins on chocolate crystallinum. So that's chocolate vein Clarinervium, looking really neat. And then lastly, I snagged this off of Instagram. The account name is @I'mDania_Castro. This, interesting, is Delta Force crossed with Clarinervium. Super cool, because Clarinervium is already a parent of Delta Force. So I think she said in her caption that this came from Tazula plants. Great idea to take Delta Force and add in some more Clarinervium, because this is looking really cool. It's different from Delta Force in that the sinus is not as flat, and the leaf texture is way more velvety. Delta Force is actually not really a velvet leaf anthurium. It did not inherit that trait from Clarinervium. So it makes sense that when you take Delta Force and add more Clarinervium to it, that velvet comes out. And I think that this is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, I'm saying nothing of her plant specifically. This grower here has phenomenal skills. I don't see a single yellow tip or anything crusty, and look at how many big and beautiful leaves there are. So this is an outstanding specimen, grown very, very well. And I don't know, do other anthurium species do this cool stuff? Like crystallinum, magnificum, can they like make these really, really cool crosses the way Clarinervium can? I just don't know.
Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I would love to hear in the comments what was your favorite plant of the day, whether it was from my collection or something we found online. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a like. If you're new here, I would love it if you could subscribe. There's tons of content like this and more coming, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.